Yeah, I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's home of the Cleveland Clinic and Kent State Podiatry. Like, Cleveland just seems to be like the hot spot of all things medical. Applying to podiatry school is a similar process as would be applying to any medical, osteopathic, or graduate school. The first step is to make an account on aacpm.org, and we'll include the link for you below. The first requirement that we'll talk about is what classes you have to take in your undergraduate level. The first is 8 credit hours of a general biology with the associated labs, 8 credit hours of organic chemistry with the labs, 8 credit hours of general chemistry, 8 credit hours of physics with the labs, and then 6 to 8 credit hours of English. There might also be certain electives that each school requires, and for that you will have to check the certain schools' websites as to what they want with your application. The next step is to obtain a letter of recommendation from a podiatrist. This can be a daunting task for students sometimes, but it really doesn't have to be. All you have to do is go to Google and find a local podiatrist in your area. From there, you call their office and see if you can schedule a time to shadow them. Typically, after a certain amount of hours, it's okay to ask that podiatrist for a letter of recommendation. They understand because they had to go through the exact same process we went through, so they know that a letter of recommendation is required. This helps me segue into the next part of the application, which is when you talk about different experiences that you had while in undergrad or in high school that you think would be beneficial to you when the committee is looking over your application to podiatry schools. When I was talking about shadowing a podiatrist before, this is a perfect example of one experience that you should probably talk about in your application. Some other examples might be if you worked in a clinical setting or if you volunteered in a clinical setting. Other things that you might want to talk about is any leadership positions that you might have held when you were an undergrad, such as any clubs or organizations. Next is to submit your MCAT score. Each podiatry school requires students to have taken the MCAT exam and to submit their score through the application portal. We will include the link below to register for the MCAT, and through that link you can also find out how to study for the MCAT, where they will tell you information about how long it is and what subjects you should know about of the MCAT before you take it. Also, each school will have their own website where they tell you what the average MCAT score is for their school, so you know where you stand before you apply. The last part of the application that I'm going to talk about is the personal statement. This is your chance to describe to the application committee why you want to be a podiatrist and how the experience in your life led you on this path. It has to be around 4,500 characters, which comes out to be 750 words. Don't make this personal statement school specific. Make it a more broad statement on why you want to become a podiatrist. So I recommend talking about the different experiences that we talked about earlier and how that led you to want to apply to podiatry school. Why you want to be a describe